Kevin Ross. A little bit late to the party. I procrastinated on the deadline. I don't need the shirt because I'm a bad guy. But anyway, I've enjoyed these videos so much that I want to do one too. And in particular on the Tri-Gear. I think the Tri-Gear is way, way, way underrated. So we're located about 35 miles south of Fort Worth on an air park named Pecan Plantation. And we've been down here a long time. This is our 6th airplane build. And for what it's worth, I've got about 4,000 hours of tail dragger time, and I opted for the tricycle gear. Out of the 6 airplanes that I've built, 3 of them have been tail draggers. The tricycle is really, really, really nice. It's easy to handle on the ground. It's extremely easy to land. You can enjoy your flight, not worry about the crosswinds or what the landing is going to be or the winds at a destination. Everything about it is just bone simple. And after probably owning 25, 30 airplanes and a lot of tail draggers, some high performance tail draggers, I wanted something simple, something easy to land, something fun to fly, and this is met the bill. This is serial number 91. I started it about 2.5 years ago, and it just took a little over 2 years of part-time work to put it into the air. I'm going to follow Rachel's suggestions here on the speaking part. So I chose the O-320 engine. It's a little bit heavy on the front end, and the performance is really, really good. I'm pushing 200 miles per hour at wide open throttle near sea level, and I think I'll probably tour out around 200 miles per hour, 195 or something at cruise if I was to take it up to 10.5. I've only got 20 hours on the airplane, and I'm still flight testing, and that's also why it doesn't have paint on it. I want to get it all trimmed up, get the trim tabs and stuff on here if required, may or may not, and get that stuff worked out and send it to paint. This thing will go to paint here in about a month. I'm getting ready to finish up the wheel pants, a lot of the fiberglass parts, and clean them up, and then we'll send it off to paint. I've got a little slightly nose-heavy situation here. It's well within the envelope, but the Sensenich prop weighs about 20 pounds, and I think if I had a 9-pound wooden prop on here, I wouldn't be moving the battery back. Right now I've got the battery at the firewall. I'm going to put it back behind the seat based on the calculations, and that'll make it a lot easier to hold the nose wheel off when I land and make it easier to rotate for takeoff. So not a big deal. I just didn't see the weight of the prop coming. I didn't know that hub was going to be that heavy when I installed the battery before I got the prop. I'm going to show you the inside in a minute. As far as avionics, I'll eventually go with Grand Rapids. I've been using Grand Rapids EIS, the engine monitoring system, for probably 30 years on different airplanes. I've never had it fail, never sent one back or had any problems with it. So I don't have glass in this yet. I'm enjoying pulling this thing up at a local airport and having people come out and look at it, and they look at the panel and they don't think you can hardly fly it without instrumentation. I've got all the legal instruments. The airplane is legal. I don't have a bunch of glass in it. I don't need a bunch of glass in it for what I do. My flying is local flying. I built this airplane to fly single seat, obviously, and I like a single seater, and I just want to fly around locally. We do have an RV6A that we fly for cross country, and this fills the bill for the local daily driver stuff. So we built 6 airplanes, 3 of them tail draggers, 3 of them nose wheels, 2 of them were RVs. So this airplane here, following the RVs, we're of course tooled up for the metal work, and it went really fast. The mesh hole drilling on this thing is second to none. The metal that's provided, there's hardly any trimming to do. A little bit of deburring, it goes together relatively quick. And the plans left nothing to be desired. They were just totally fine. It took me, being an old guy, a little while to get used to an online manual, but after you get used to it, you appreciate it, and you'll especially like the color pictures that come with it. It says here, what do you like about building in general? I think I like building as much as flying, or maybe more anymore, or maybe as much as, oh, that didn't come out right. I like building about as much as I like flying, and I probably do more maintenance than flying anymore on my airplane and other people's airplanes, but that's okay. I got a couple of things that make this unique. One is the simple panel that I've got. Yeah, The other is the fact that I chose not to go with the folding wing option. Dan had told me at Oshkosh that the folding wings cost about 10 pounds. I've got 2 hangers at my house. I don't need to fold the wings. And so I kept that 10 pounds out. And the other thing I did, and I copied Tony Spicer, I did not put the paddles in there for the ailerons inside the cockpit. I just went direct from the stick, direct to one bell crank, and straight to the bell crank out in the wing. I'll show you a picture of that in just a minute. Real simple. It works really smooth. There's no slop, no play, as is in all the controls in this airplane. This would be a great airplane for a first-time builder. If a guy will study up a little bit, either on the internet or Tony Bingles' books on how to build airplanes and stuff, you shouldn't have any problem at all. The interesting thing probably with this is not only the nose gear, but with the O-320 engine, it kicks butt. It climbs out, by the way, at about 2,100 feet per minute with the prop set where it is. Right now, if I don't watch it, I can in fact overspeed the prop by about 20 to 50 RPM. Red line's 2,700, and it climbs like crazy, and then accelerates just fine. Okay, I'll go around the airplane, and we'll just take pictures all the way around. And I'll just point out some things. The cowl is stock. This is unlike a lot of people. I'm trying to keep it simple. I like to make things maintainable. And the cowling has round-headed screws, and they'll stay round-headed. On the wheel pants, where the halves come together, they're going to be round-headed screws. Again, it's just simple. The prop is an interesting deal because the performance on a prop is just like super, super good. The problem I have with the nose wheel, and it will always be a problem, is it's hard to get the lower cowling off because it's got to slide forward on that gear leg down there and then clear both sides of the prop. What we're going to have to do is take off the nose wheel pant probably to get the prop off. We haven't tested that part. We haven't had it on the lower cowl on and off with the wheel pant on there, but that's going to be a pain, but the trade-off in performance is worth the pain. There's some discussion in the manual about oil filler door. I like to have an oil filler door for obvious reasons, and we built this right into the cowl here. Very simple. I use butterfly Zeus fasteners. The reason I use butterfly Zeus fasteners is because I don't have to go looking for a screwdriver. That's been fine. When I park it, I open that up and let the excess heat out. So, incidentally, I've got the conical mount on the engine, and there's some discussion about whether or not there's good clearance between the engine and the firewall. With the conical mount, there's plenty to do whatever you want to do back there. There's not a lot of junk back there that's in the way at all. And I'm using the 8 amp alternator from B&C, the little orange one that spins. And Grand Rapids tells me that with a full glass cockpit turned all the way up, that I'd only be pulling 1 amp. That 8 amp has been fine so far. You can see there's no instrumentation in it right now, but I'm going to leave that, and I think it's going to be fine with an Odyssey PC680 battery. I don't think I'm having electrical issues. The airplane's day VFR. My mission is day VFR. I'm not going to fly at IFR. I'm not going to use it with autopilot. I built it to be flown with stick and rudder, and I don't even have any lights on it, and there won't be. So I'm just going to run the Grand Rapids glass and the battery itself. So, without the folding wing, we use a little bit different stripping on the side here. Pretty self-explanatory there. The canopy on this airplane is absolutely gorgeous, which is one of the reasons I built it. I opted to go with the hinge pin here. This is another idea of Tony Spicer's. It's really simple, and in the middle I can pull the hinge out from front and from the back, and I have the canopy off this in about a minute, outside of unhooking the gas spring. I also used, see if I can get it open here. I'll open the other side. I use these little tiny vents that Van uses on his RV-12 and on his RV-10. I'm involved with a school project where we build RV-12s at the high school, and have quite a bit of time in an RV-12 that uses these vents. They were very effective, so I thought I would try them on here. Simple, simple, simple. So I didn't know if it would suck much air, being the fact that it's behind this cowl cheek. But these things give me a lot of air. And the reason I couldn't get it open is I was doing the wrong side. So they open inside. You can reach them from the seat, and they're very simple and very efficient. So if you're wondering about the NACA ducts, you know, the guys put them about right here. The problem is the instrument panel's right here, and it's really hard to work that scat tubing from here to here. This solves that problem, and they can't take a half hour to build, so it's real nice. Okay, wingtips. Most of fiberglass on this fit really well. I'm still messing with the wheel pants a little bit, and I rebuilt the horizontal vertical stab intersection fairing because the other one didn't fit. Wingtips fit fine, they're nice. All my control surfaces, the hinge pins, I've cut them in the middle and safetied them right here. You can get a picture of this. So I can take this flap off pretty quick just by cutting the safety wire and pulling the hinge out left and right. And ailerons are done the same way. I've got quite a bit of rudder trim tab on here right now. I'm getting ready to pull the cowl and change the oil for the first time. And I'm going to look at offsetting that O-320 engine to the right with 1 or 2 washers. I can see right now that the ball's about 1 ball off center or less, depending on the power setting, and that ball will follow the throttle. So I think I'm getting a lot of P factor and a lot of torque, which is causing me to require this rudder trim. I think I can probably cut it in half or more if I offset the engine a little bit to the right. I'm going to do that. Rudder trim tab, I went with the manual. Nothing cosmic about that, and pretty standard. The step over here, the step is really a must for the Tri-Gear. With the motor, with the roll bar and stuff in there, it's really easy to grab that roll bar, step on the step, and step up on the wing. Incidentally, the latching mechanism works really, really well, and the gas spring works really well also. I'm going to grab the camera for just a second from Carla here. I want to get a picture, I want to get a picture of this, how I did the bell crank here. Being it's not a folding wing airplane, I didn't need the paddle part or the second part of that bell crank. So the bell crank is attached to the angle that comes out of the wing is very solid. It's at least an eighth of an inch, if not 3/16 thick. And it goes straight to the stick. No slop, no trim. No slop, and no play at all. And everything's on ball bearings, so it really moves smooth. And no adjustments down here. And if I have to pull the wing off, I pull out that bolt right there, and the wing comes off like everybody else's. Incidentally, I've got my wings safetied there with a wire tie, and that works really well. What I did here, I got my fuse box right there. The RV12 guys use a fuse box with blade fuses, and it's very simple, works very well. So I have no electrical wires running beyond the spar. Later I may have an AHRS in the back or something, but all my electrics is forward, again for simplicity and lack of running wires. This instrument panel gets a lot of attention. The reason the instrument panel gets a lot of attention is just simply that it's so basic and simple. And so I've got in the right hand corner there, I've got the EIS, that's Grand Rapids Engine Information System, and in that it also displays the altimeter, and above that's the COM 760, the Flightline 760 that Panther recommends, or SPA, and on the left side is airspeed. Everything else is pretty simple. I've got a start switch here, and I think I can show you. I've got a master, left mag, right mag, fuel pump, avionics master, and the alternator. I use Grand Rapids fuel selector, not Grand Rapids, SPA fuel selector, which is very nice. That plate that runs up there has the fuel pump underneath it, and everything forward of there is pretty standard. I also use the standard throttle quadrant that SPA recommends. I will say something that's kind of worth watching out for here. If you look at the mixture, the red knob, the throttle, the black knob, and this is your pitch trim up here, black knob again. All three knobs are round, and then sitting right here above the trim knob is the canopy latch, and it's also a round knob. These three round knobs are really easy initially to grab the wrong one. After 20 hours on the airplane, I still make a point to look and see where my hand is, which knob it's on. It'd be really bad to think that you're trimming the airplane and subsequently unlatch the canopy. So just a heads up on that. It would be wise if we changed some of those out to some other feel, as they do in certified airplanes. Outside of that, everything else from the seat back and all is pretty standard and pretty stock SPA. The seats, don't get too cosmic about the seats like somebody else said. They're highly adjustable, and a big guy can fit in this. Probably one of the stars about this whole airplane is the canopy and the room in the cockpit. The room in the cockpit is second to none, and that alone makes the airplane worth building, in my opinion. Okay, that's about it. I'll get this off to Rachel, and appreciate SPA and all their support. Thank you very much.